today had a pretty good look. And since you are excellent at creating these lists, I just need to know.
There you go.
Who wore it better here?
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
All right, here we go. OverDrive off and running. TSN 1050 on the TSN app. Your home smart speaker up on TSN 4, up on YouTube Live. Brian Hayes, the O-Dog, Jeff O'Neill, and Frankie Corrado in here on what is not a beautiful Tuesday in the city, but
it's a blue Tuesday.
It's a blue
Tuesday. Blue Tuesday, Hazy B.
It is a blue Tuesday. Yeah, it's a blue Tuesday. Weather-wise, figuratively speaking.
Sure.
Depending on which way you see things going with the Maple Leafs, the Blue Jays, right?
It didn't take long for the boos down at the Dome either. It was like
how about Brendan Little getting booed Game 4 of the season when everyone is uber positive about that team?
I know, but it seems like when that guy gets the ball, things start happening. Like, come on.
Yep, I can't dispute that. I mean, the numbers would indicate that. He's got like a 49 ERA or something crazy. And
maybe what's wrong with him is he never saw the train coming.
Never saw the train coming, right? There's a lot of people in the city that never saw the train coming. Brendan Little maybe did not see the train coming. Jays are still 3-1. Scherzer's got to give him a lot of innings tonight, right? The bullpen got blown out. They had Heineman in there just throwing batting practice at the end of the game last night. And it sucks for Cody Ponce. And we will wait on an answer from Schneider because they know what's wrong with him by now. I'm guessing in the next hour to an hour and a half, we're going to get an answer on what's up with Cody Ponce. But the reference you're making is the train coming through the Atlantic Division and went right through Union, right? According to Keith Pelly.
Might have been a Via Rail.
Well, I know you can get the Via Rail from Montreal. I don't know what you can get from Buffalo. But I think you can get up through Buffalo.
You go Amtrak.
You get Amtrak. Does that cross the border? I have no idea.
Can you explain?
I have no idea.
Keith Pelly came out today and said, we just didn't see the train coming. Like, can you elaborate on what that means to you?
Let me play it first, okay? So
okay.
I'm doing the reset thing, right? We talked about it yesterday.
Oh, okay. This is a learning as we go process.
By the end of this, I want you throwing the clips and you kind of setting it up. This is a big day, I think, for everybody. But I got a lot of clips I want to play today from Keith Pelly, who spoke a couple of hours ago. And obviously, we're referencing what happened last night. Brad Treliving being relieved of his duties as GM. And we'll get into the game to an extent because it actually was an entertaining game. But this is what Keith Pelly had to say about what caught them off guard this year. Like why it went from them being in a position last year where he thought he had the right people in place and they were ready to pounce and have a very good season to the position they're in now. This was Keith Pelly earlier this afternoon.
I honestly believe that we didn't have the alignment, we didn't have the culture, we didn't have the structure that we needed to be successful. And you can point to a number of issues this year. I'm not going to talk about injuries. The only thing that I would say is we need to be better. We need to be able to adapt quicker. And we definitely didn't see the train coming, which was the Buffalo Sabres and the Montreal Canadiens, and how strong those two teams are.
What does that mean, though? Does that just mean you were going to coast along and hope they were garbage again?
Yes, that's exactly what it means. You probably thought that we are better than Montreal. They're going to be struggling to get into a wild card spot, and Buffalo's going to be a basement team, so we don't necessarily worry about them. We worry about Florida, Tampa, Boston to a certain degree, and maybe oversight on Detroit as well, because Ottawa's a good team, but they're not in a playoff spot.
Well, and Montreal was in a playoff spot last year. So was Ottawa. That's what is concerning about a clip like that. And I had a lot of concerns that came out of it. Like, I'll cut to the chase here. I thought it was a really borderline disastrous press conference.
Yes.
And I have a lot to say on it. I'm sure you do. Oh, I know you do, Frankie, as well. But this is a double-edged sword because what Keith Pelly is saying within the organization, they had no read on the external expectations of a team like Buffalo and Montreal, and clearly they had no idea on internal expectations and analysis, because if you just look at it like, wow, hey, man, we ended up with 98 points, but Buffalo had 99 and the Habs had 100. Whew, we didn't see that coming. Okay, you're one of the worst teams in the league. What does it matter what Montreal and Buffalo are doing if you thought this was going to work? Because your team and your analysis has been an absolute mess.
But good teams like Tampa and Florida, when they're on top, Colorado, they're not saying, oh, I wonder if Nashville's going to hit us with the train. Like, it's just such a dumb comment. I mean, I don't know what it means. Like, I found it crazy that he's...
It's an excuse is what it is, to an extent. I mean, it's an excuse that those teams, they just came out of nowhere. That's kind of what he's saying. It's almost a backhanded slap at those two teams, right? And Montreal should be insulted more than Buffalo. Montreal was in the playoffs a year ago.
No kidding.
Buffalo has shocked everyone, right? To be fair to Pelly and anyone else, nobody saw this coming from Buffalo. Nobody. Not people in Buffalo either. But
it has nothing to do with your team.
Absolutely.
And
it's
Montreal
like good teams just say, we got to deal with ourselves. And you know what? If Buffalo shocks the world and they win the division, then we'll finish second and we'll have to carry on with our business that way. Not finish last.
Yeah, exactly.
And like Montreal bottomed out 4 years ago. They got rid of everyone they possibly could, and they built it back up, which apparently is not something that is on the docket based on what we heard today at the press conference for the Toronto Maple Leafs. That is not an option moving forward.
Yes.
Or it's very low on his list of things that he would want to do.
Right, and that's another thing. Again, how could the Montreal Canadiens possibly shock you when their plan has been working very well and it was put in place 4 years ago? Again, they were in the playoffs last year. They've got a ton of young talent. Their cap is in a beautiful position moving forward. They have a lot of prospects coming. The Habs are not at all shocking being in the position they're in. Buffalo might be a different story. But I think the point you just made, and I want to play this clip, is the most important detail that came out of this. And again, I thought it was a press conference that lacked clarity, lacked energy, lacked inspiration.
Specifics.
Like you get very few opportunities to step in front of a mic where literally the whole fan base is waiting for you to speak. Very few. And today at 2 p.m., that was an example of it today. Keith Pelly, I thought, had to nail this and owed it to his fan base to put forth more clarity and more of a vision. What scares me is I'm not sure he's got it. Like, it really does feel like a month and a half ago they weren't thinking this way, and now they fired Tree Living. He admitted they haven't determined which firm is going to help them pursue the next hire, and kind of joked about it, like, a bunch of people probably sent me an email today. Why aren't you on that already? You haven't determined, you're the Maple Leafs, you haven't figured out who is going to help you in the pursuit of the next hire, and he didn't give clarity on what this hierarchy is going to be. Is it a president and GM? Is it just a GM? Is it someone that holds both titles? And it was almost as if he just pushed it down, like, oh, we'll figure that out. Why do you not know that? Like, I didn't come out of this thinking, wow, these guys have been in a bunker, MLSE, for the last 2 months, every day.
Meetings galore.
Meetings galore. Saying this is DEFCON 1. Like, this is nuclear. We've got to figure this out. It's a mess, and we've got to get it right. It came to me, it sounded to me like, all right, Brad's out, and I get it. Tree Living, you can't make a case for keeping Tree Living. I mean, the team's in a really bad place. The last couple of trade deadlines, last summer, it hasn't gone well. He's not alone. It's not only his fault. Shanahan has to own a lot of this, in my opinion. Berube, the players, Pelly, MLSE, everyone's got blood on their hands for this. But you can't make the case for keeping Tree Living. So this was the easy play. But I didn't walk out of it today thinking, man, they've really got everything figured out in terms of how they're going to put the pieces together here to get it right in the future.
About bottom line, Hayes, is a diehard fan or anybody in our business, or basically if you have any intelligence, you didn't finish up with that and you said, that guy's going to get this right.
He's got it done. He's got it down.
Or he's going to get
it
it done. Yes. You're just like, I don't know if this guy knows what he's doing. That's what you took away from it.
Right. And maybe he will. And maybe they will. And I appreciate that he acknowledged this is the biggest decision he's going to make in his tenure as president and CEO of MLSE. And he's absolutely right.
What other teams hire a firm, by the way, to hire a GM?
It happens more often than you think.
Nashville did it this year, too. Like, I think
it happens a lot.
But here's my question to you guys. Let's say he interviews 10 people for, like, a president or GM role. We don't know which ones, we don't know what it's going to look like. He kept talking about structure. We don't know what the structure is going to look like. If 10 people out of 10 people, or even 8 people out of 10 people look at him and say, Keith, this is not a quick turnaround. You got bad contracts on your books. You got a weird roster construction. You got no farm system, and you got no picks. Like, this needs time. Does he not look at that and say, well, I guess these guys are right. They're the experts in the field. Or does he stand by what he thinks and say, no, we have our foundational pieces, and we're ready to move forward?
I get the impression.
You got to listen to the people, man.
I get the impression it's the latter. And I think ultimately, if you're a fan, there was a lot that came out of this. And, a lot of it is CEO speak, which you understand. I actually kind of appreciated, he was asked, were you in on the trade deadline? And he said he was in the room to try to get a read on what's going on. He should be there to learn that kind of stuff. I don't have a problem with that. And he came out of it saying, Tree Living's not my guy. That's his job, to be in the bunker and assess what's going on. So people are goofing on him like he was the one that said, trade Bobby McMahon to Seattle. I don't believe that, and actually appreciate that candor, that he was in there analyzing what people are doing. And he said, I wasn't in there with Bobby Webster, and I won't be in there next year with the next guy.
Yeah.
So that's a different level of context that I think was important. But he was asked about the next hire, and it was Gino that asked it, and I think it was the most important question to ask. Is the next hire going to tell you, Keith Pelly, and ownership, this is what we're doing, or are you going to tell the next hire, this is what we're doing? And this is effectively how he answered that earlier today.
The way I look at it is a rebuild is needed when you are starting from scratch. We all know that Toronto Maple Leafs have foundational pieces in place. So as a result, with those foundational pieces in place, if we're able to surround them with the right culture, with the right structure, with the right personnel, both on and off the ice, then I would say that we would be in a retool, not in a rebuild.
So that, to me, is a message to any prospective president or GM. You are coming in and telling Keith Pelly what he wants to hear.
I was just going to say, I would goof on GMs, Brian. Potential GMs, I would goof on them. If they sat down and said, yeah, you've got the foundational pieces here. I'm just going to pick around the edges and try to surround them with the right culture and the right this or that, the right pieces, which they've been doing with the foundational pieces for 10 years. I would say, okay, and then I would say, get out because you're full of it, because that's not happening.
Bingo.
It's not true.
That's it. All that stuff we just laid out, like if you're an executive, you would look at him and say, there's no way you can turn this thing around in 5 years. You're dealing with the remnants of what usually would be a team that won cups and had parades, and now you have to pick up the pieces. Yeah. But all you have is the frustration of not winning. It's the worst place you could possibly be, but that's where they are.
Well, he's speaking like that comment would land in 2019, maybe 2020, maybe 2021. Austin Matthews is 28, soon to be 29 years old. Willie's 29. Is he speaking of John Tavares? John's 36, right? Like Morgan Riley, I don't think he's going to be a part of the future here. So what foundational pieces? I like Matthew Nyes a lot. I like Cowan. They have no foundational piece on defense, not one. There's not one foundational piece. They don't have a foundational goaltender.
He was talking about two players.
Matthews,
one is Austin
and
Matthews and Nylander. That is it.
You're right.
That's all he possibly could
and he
be
was
talking
about.
Right.
He was
and if
talking
you think
to
you're going to
them.
go to war with those two guys and do any damage, you would have to go nuts on a trade front. And like Bruce Boudreau said, 6 different faces need to come in here. And not just Joe Blows. Not Joe Blows.
Yeah.
Like 6 elite talents. How the hell are you going to make that transaction or transactions in one offseason? Impossible. Not happening.
Well, I agree with you, and I think you're right. I think it's isolated to 2 guys who, again, I don't know if you can define them as foundational. You can't in terms of championship caliber or pedigree because they haven't earned that, right? Like you might be able to build with them, around them, again, 6-7 years ago, they had a very different viewpoint. And I think I had a different projection like everyone else. Fact of the matter is, those two have been foundational pieces for 9 years. They've won 2 playoff rounds.
Right.
So
now all of a sudden you're just going to build them up, which they've been trying to do for 10 years. They've mowed through coaches. They've mowed through GMs. They've mowed through a president. And it just goes on and on and on. When is someone going to look at the players and say, we're not going to continue to blow cash on personnel and coaching staff and try to convince yourself that these guys are winners and we just need to get the right people? How many different people can you try to put around these group of players?
Well, the answer is more.
No,
because
it can't be.
I'm not saying it's
More
the right
what?
answer. I'm not saying it's the right answer.
For him, it's more.
Keith Pelly, basically, with this, what I took out of it, now it's subject to change. Maybe it changes in the next month or two. Basically announced it's the continuation of the Shanahan plan. That's what he announced. Because if you believe you have the foundational pieces, then you're talking Matthews, Nylander, Tavares. Like, that's what you're talking about. Maybe Morgan Riley. Again, it's a different story, but he's been here throughout the whole process. Possibly you can extend that to Matthew Nyes.
I don't know how anyone could believe that.
Well,
Brian.
Keith Pelly did. That's what I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm not telling you what I think they should do. I'm telling you what I heard today, and I think you heard the same thing, is if Pelly is saying it's a retool and the foundation is here, then what you're asking, he's asking the next GM to show up and say, I'm going to continue the Shanahan plan into the future. And to me, it's been a failed experiment, unfortunately. It had all the hope in the world. The foundation was set 10, 11 years ago, and it's run its course, and it hasn't worked. But what happened, I believe, when Tree Living was hired, was Shanahan wanted the next GM to tell him what he wanted to hear. And Tree Living walked in and said, I can make it work with these guys, and I'll re-sign Austin, and I can re-sign Willie, and I can probably re-sign Mitch, which he didn't in the end. But he just continued the Shanahan plan. I'll give you another example. When Brian Burke arrived, right? He got poached from Anaheim. He showed up, and immediately it was, I can get this team to win right off the bat. And what ends up happening when you hire guys with that guideline, when you hire people with the guideline that we are actually closer than what everyone else thinks, and we're not thinking of 3 or 5 year plans. We're thinking of next year. If you're impatient
and you do stupid things,
it leads to mistakes. Mm-hmm. Like maybe this is the 1 in a million. Maybe they just hire a person or two and they come in and everything connects. And I'm not even of the group that this is going to be one of the worst teams in the league next year. Yeah. I do see a path where they can reset and maybe be a playoff team next year. But you can't claim championship obsession and claim that you have the foundational pieces to do that.
Yeah,
the jury's already in on that.
When you come in that position and you can put the teams of Phaneuf and Kessel as a reference point, it's you come in and you realize that, we're not that good. We need a defenseman. Let's go get Dion Phaneuf. We need a goaltender. Let's go get Jonathan Bernier. And you think you're going to get all these pieces that other teams are willing to get rid of, and they're going to be your spotlight players. It ain't happening, man. It is not happening.
The other reality here is that the retool versus rebuild discussion, it's not necessarily up to Keith Pelly. It's not necessarily up to whoever gets hired. A lot of it stems through the player or players, and the main guy is number 34, who has 2 years left on his deal. Because if he comes to you and he says, I don't want to be a part of this, I don't like where it's going, like you said, Brian, they could maybe be making the playoffs next year. Maybe that doesn't interest him. If he goes to them and says, guys, not going to resign here long term, that sends you in a direction. That doesn't say, hey, we're going to retool now, even though Austin Matthews, that foundational piece that you're talking about is walking out the door. So guess what? That influences your decision. As much as you want to say which way you're going, that will steer you into whatever direction you need to go.
Yeah, and I've said this a lot recently when it comes to Matthews, because there's always a sensitivity with him. He's got 2 years left. He's one of the great players in Leaf history. Captain, there's obviously his resume speaks for itself. And in a perfect world, he's a Leaf for life and they win with him. It's a perfect world. But you cannot, if you're the Maple Leafs, if you're Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment, devise a plan based on his contract expiration. That, to me, would be absurd. You come up with the plan that is in the best interest of the organization to get in a position to win. And then you present it to them and you say, this is what has to happen. Are you with us or not? We'd love you to be a part of it because we believe you can be. If the next GM, president of hockey ops, believes that. Let's presume they do. They show up and they go, Matthews is our guy. We're going to make this work. Go to him once you've figured out how you're going to lay the framework for that. And if he's in, which hopefully he will be, then he's in. But if he's not, then he's not. Right. Like, then you move off him. It's that simple. But you can't be handcuffed to his deal being up in 2 years, and you got to do it or else Matthews is going to leave. That ship has sailed. It's got to sail because of what's happened this year. And because, quite frankly, they haven't won at all in a decade. So what are you holding to? You know, and the same thing applies to Nylander, only it's different because he's got even more term on his deal. So, you know, you're not worried about 6 years down the road. But
it kind of feels like there's a little bit of this organizational entitlement that, like, we're the Toronto Maple Leafs. We are the wealthiest, most valuable franchise in the NHL. We don't rebuild. Like, we're above that. We got resources coming out that you know what. Like, we can do this no matter what. We'll find a way. But in the
resources
reality,
in a salary cap era does not that doesn't do squat.
But that's the thing. In reality, like, no one's above it. Like, Father Time comes to get everybody, and whether that's an individual or a team, it's undefeated, man. Well, and at some point, you got to find a way to build it back up. And
Shanahan was the only one that pitched it properly, and it was to the credit of Tim Leiweke. It was really Tim Leiweke that launched it. The reason why Leiweke is a guy who a lot of people, myself included, think should have statues around the city is because he came in with a sports vision, and he had courage to say, this is what we're going to do. And as a result, the Raptors won because of what he put into place. The Leafs, yes, they never won, but they at least were very respectable for a long, long time. And he allowed Shanahan, in conjunction with Leiweke and then ownership, to accept that they had to go in a different direction, that they had to allow pain to arrive. They had to tank for the season. And prior to that, didn't exist with Petty and the teacher's plan and in the 90s and 80s and all that. And it appears as if Pelly and I guess ownership, because they got to own this too. Pelly's got a boss. Keith Pelly's got a boss. Yep. Is not open to that. And again, I don't know if that's the right answer. We don't know if it's the answer. But I don't think you can determine that the retool is 100% the right plan before you've even listened to anybody else.
That's the thing. Listen to all these great minds that you're going to interview.
Be cutting edge. Like, that's the thing. You're right about the arrogance of everything. Like, yes, you got the most money and you're worth the most and you charge the most for tickets and all that kind of stuff. Great. It's done nothing for you for 60 years.
Nothing.
Like, be a cutting edge organization. You know, and he spoke to it. Pelly said the next GM is going to be data-driven and data-based.
What was your take on that right away? Because I'll tell you,
I want to hear that guy's take.
My first,
forget my take.
My first thing that popped into my head when I heard that was, if the guy who was previously the GM was a UFA or available, he'd be hired today.
You think Kyle Dubas would step right in?
What does that tell you? Data-based, data-driven. That's the guy who was just here.
Yeah.
What the hell is he talking about?
Okay, let's play the clip. Let's play the clip. I want your response.
No, make me pass out. Go ahead.
I want your response. Here's Keith Pelly on a requisite for the next hire running the Leafs.
I can tell you, right, because somebody asked me this internally, in terms of one of the keys to the candidate that you may be looking for, is they have to be data-centric. They have to really understand data and the importance of data and where data is moving. Right? We have just completed a complete rebuild of TFC, all using data combined with cultural checks. And that's what we will do, and that's every single decision that we will make will be evidence-based.
Okay. That is the craziest ass thing I've ever heard in my life.
Why is it so crazy?
I just think that if you found the best available hockey person, they just understand the game and what it takes to win. Obviously, data comes into some of their decisions, but to just say that the next person in hockey is going to be data-driven. And by the way, nobody cares what you're doing with TFC. Are they even relevant right now? Like, Someone tell me.
It's a weird. It's not exactly what Leaf fans want to hear. That the beacon of hope is you can follow in the footsteps of TFC.
Yeah,
Like,
they haven't been relevant for years.
No, and
Sorry,
still,
pal.
They're not a good team.
No,
and yes,
they're not. So what are you talking about? Like it just, and even if it was data-driven in soccer and it worked, who cares? It's not the National Hockey League.
Well,
like what's wrong with just getting the best hockey person available? And I know they've tried that many times in the past, but I don't know.
Well, what he did there was he did reveal, I guess, that Tree Living wasn't data-driven. And I don't.
Yeah,
I'll be honest. Like he said, the next GM will determine what happens with Craig Berube. Craig Berube is not overly data driven. Like I don't get the impression that he's overly data driven. So I don't really know, again, why like Berube survived this or how Berube survived this. He did have an interesting answer on how ownership will factor into the Berube decision. I want to play that. We'll get into it. But listen, being data-driven, using AI, which is another thing he said, AI has taken over the industry.
What?
Okay. Yes. And AI is, I don't know, it's coming. It's arriving. It's going to be a big part of society.
Yeah, we actually ran a chat GPT before the show out here in the hallway and said, how do you fix the Toronto Maple Leafs and turn them into a Stanley Cup contender? And the word that chat GPT used was not retool, not rebuild. It was reallocate and repurpose.
Oh, okay.
Hey?
Those are two good terms. I like that.
How's that for some LinkedIn speak?
That could be
You're BSing me with the AI. He never said AI.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
We mentioned AI many times.
AI.
JP, find AI for me, please. I need to play it after the break.
Hey, JP, find AI for me, please.
Just like Siri.
Hey, Doogie. Yeah, that's our Siri, is Doogie and JP.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll play some AI when we come back for the O-Dog. And, yeah, it's what a time to be alive following the Maple Leafs. And, of course, they win last night. And, you know, Pelly said we're not tanking. He was insulted almost by the idea of someone suggesting they should tank.
Right.
So,
and Craig Berube now, who might be a dead man walking, he might not be, but he probably is. He has no incentive to lose games.
No.
He is going to try and coach his ass off to win and make sure that if he's leaving, Toronto is handing over the 8th overall pick to the
100%.
Boston Bruins. One
100%.
last gift out the door.
100%. And that, again, speaks to just the lack of kind of consistency within the whole program in terms of where they're going and how they got here.
Or synergy, as some might say.
As ChatGPT might say. Or OpenAI. Who knows? All right. We've got Pierre coming up. We got Johnny. We got Confirm and Deny. The Jays are back in action tonight. Max Scherzer, man, get that arm warmed up. Max has got to go like 6 innings tonight. We need a big one. That was ugly last night. So more on that later this afternoon. OverDrive continues up on YouTube Live.
It's almost time for the Masters on TSN.
It's diagnosed as a right ACL sprain, but they're going to review the MRI a little bit more, I guess, and see if it's a full tear.
That's scary stuff because the sprain is almost like the ACL is just waiting to go. And then if you don't have the surgery, at some point it's going to go.
Right.
So do you just get it done now if you're already hurt and you take the 9 months to a year? Sucks either way.
This guy's not going to pitch the whole season. It feels like he's into the second inning and he's done.
Sprained MCL, sprained ACL is the whole year?
Well, if you have an ACL surgery, you're done. Like it's 9 to 12 months.
No, but Hayes just said a sprain.
No, I know, but I guess what I'm saying is a sprain means it's partially torn. So it's going to tear at some point on you. So what do you do?
Dude, a sprain is a sprain, dude. It's not partially torn.
Okay.
I don't know where you're getting your info from.
Again, I'm reading the tweet courtesy of Keegan saying they're still waiting to see if it's actually a tear.
I know, but Dr. Chesko here said a sprain is actually torn.
Dude, we'll get Dr. Aubrey Green on the horn, and he'll tell us exactly what that means.
Is he a surgeon, or is he...
DRG knows what he's talking about.
Well, I got to get myself in trouble again because remember when I claimed our boy Gary Roberts couldn't read an MRI, and you guys
can.
I know he can, and I rescind those
go
comments.
Back down that road,
I rescind those comments. All right, here's our TSN hockey insider, Pierre LeBrun. Pierre, you were down there. You were in the room for Keith Pelly and his press conference. What was your takeaway from being inside the room?
Yeah, one of those news conferences that you'll remember, I think. We'll see what it leads to. But I would say a little less corporate than I would have thought. I mean, Keith Pelly had a lot to say. Now, whether or not you're sure of what to make the sum of it or what it's going to amount to, we'll see. But it wasn't reading off cue cards for the most part, which I think was notable. You know, a couple of takeaways. One where he said based on foundational pieces he feels the team still has, he favors a retool versus the rebuild. But he did say he'll leave it up to the person running up hockey ops to ultimately make that call. Listen, that's noteworthy for obvious reasons, but, and I've heard from potential candidates who may want to throw their name in the ring that, they might want to favor a rebuild. And so, there were people listening to that news conference today that might be people who want to throw their name in the ring and that we're trying to get some early cues on what they might be walking into if they get that call from MLSE. So that part's interesting. I think it's pretty clear that we're headed for multiple hires, which is noteworthy. Keith Pelly referred to the head of hockey ops pretty often as opposed to just saying GM, which I think probably means we're headed for a president of hockey ops and a GM. Not 100%, but when I asked him that, he was certainly ready for me. He broke down how many teams in the league only had a GM versus president of hockey and GM versus the two different gigs. He had all the data right in front of him when I asked him about the potential structure of the Leafs. But I still think when you listen to him today, it sounded to me like multiple hires, which frankly is the way to go. I mean, I think it was a mistake not to replace Brendan Shanahan last year.
Pierre, what did you come out of the meeting or the press conference? What was your overall take and assessment? Did you have clarity? Did you say, man, this guy has a direction and everyone should feel confident? Just your general opinions on what you heard today and assessment.
Yeah, I would say this. He certainly doesn't seem to want to close any doors, which is what you want. You don't want someone to go into this with preconceived notions of what he needs specifically. I think it sounds to me like this is going to be quite a wide net being thrown here, that he wants to talk to a lot of different people before making up his mind. That would be the part.
How many people are capable of doing this job?
Well, no, this is it. So the last time that the Leafs hired a GM, they didn't talk to that many people. Brad Treliving was hired. Brendan Shanahan also talked to Mark Bergevin, among a few others, but it's a pretty tight circle. this sounds like it's going to be a lot more people than that have discussions with MLSE, and ultimately we'll see where they end up on the other side of that in terms of, you know, a two-person approach or you know, multiple hires, like I said.
Yeah, I interpreted it very differently than you, Pierre. I interpreted that he doesn't know which way he's going to go. And that surprises me, quite frankly, because it felt to me like they just decided Tree Living's gone, and now, okay, we got to figure this out. You know, we got to hire a firm, and then we got to figure out which hierarchy we're going to do, because he did say, you know, he knew there's this amount of teams have just a GM, this amount of teams just have that, and he consistently said there's no one way to do it, right? Which did not lead me to believe he's made up his mind, which is to me a little bit concerning. And, you know, I hear what you're saying, that yes, he's going to leave it up to whoever is in charge to ultimately chart the path forward. You know the way it works. Management types will talk about autonomy. There's no such thing. You have a boss. You have a boss, and you're walking into that room, and you're trying to convince Keith Pelley you're the right person for the job. Pelley basically laid out what he wants to hear. He wants to hear that foundational pieces are here. He wants to hear that a retool is the right play. So I didn't leave that saying, like, everything's on the table. We're going to get uber creative. I got a plan. I left it basically hearing, we'll figure out what we're going to do here, and, you know, I think we should retool. Like, that's how I interpret what he was saying today.
And at the end of the day, the retool versus rebuild question is going to be answered by Austin Matthews more than anyone else. Let's be real.
Well, when was that question going to be asked, Pierre?
You know, well, I mean, he brought up Austin, and Gino hit him with the rebuild versus retool. The point is, Judd Moldaver, the agent for Austin Matthews, and Austin Matthews himself will have a huge say over that. But having said that, I mean, to your point, Brian, about, you know, going into these interviews and ownership hearing what they want, like, it's interesting that when Kyle Dubas got the job in Pittsburgh, one of the things I heard from other candidates who went through the interview process is that some of them were a bit too honest, they felt, in the sense that they told the owners at the time, Fenway, you need to tear this whole thing down. Like, we need to rebuild here. And Dubas was one of the few guys who said we can do both. We could try to be competitive, which is what Fenway wanted to hear, but also start restocking the shelves. And ultimately, Dubas got the job. And he's actually this year pulling it off, by the way. But
yes,
to your point, I mean, if you feel that strongly that you heard what I heard in terms of retool versus rebuild from Pelley, then I guess that's what the new person or people that'll be their marching orders.
When it comes to names that we're going to start hearing, we've heard a lot of Doug Armstrong. Jim Nill just signed an extension. I think Brandon Pridham's probably a pretty intriguing name internally. Like, have you started to formulate a list that you think is realistic of people who could land either or of the jobs, president or GM?
Yeah, still early because, I mean, as Pelley himself said today, he hasn't yet picked up the phone and sought permission from teams to talk to people. So once he starts doing that, then we start hearing different things on our end. But, you know, what I'll say on Doug Armstrong, who should absolutely be near the top of the list for MLSE, is that I think there's some confusion in the Toronto market that because he's stepping down as Blues GM that he's available. He has signed a 3-year extension with the Blues as president of hockey operations. That doesn't mean that MLSE shouldn't reach out and ask permission. They absolutely should, and if they don't, then I don't know what they're doing. But he doesn't have an out in his deal. It's not like he's sitting there because he's no longer GM as of July 1st that teams can drop in offers. That's not what's happening here. But if we're going to take Keith Pelley to his word that he's going to go after anyone that he feels is the right person for this job, then they should be reaching out to the Blues. The real question is, what is Blues owner Tom Stillman, how does he respond if the Leafs reach out? You know, I mean, I think that the Blues are pretty excited about Doug Armstrong being a mentor and staying on to help new GM Alex Steen. So the question is Doug Armstrong really available or not? And I don't have an answer for you there.
Right. Well, my stance on that, Pierre, is if he's under contract and you need an owner to accept him leaving, why would you just go to Doug Armstrong? Why are you not going to Bill Zito? Why are you not going to Julian Breezeball? Why are you not going to Kelly McCrimmon?
Absolutely.
Like, why everyone's just like, oh, it's Doug Armstrong. He's the guy. Why? You know, and it's not that he's not a decent GM, good track record, but why would they ever just focus on him? If they're willing to go and turn over any stone, why would you even start in St. Louis? I can name 3, 4, 5 other places I'd go first.
What about agents? Like Montreal hired an agent. Bill Zito, Bill Zito's a lawyer. Mike Gillis was an agent before he was a GM in Vancouver.
Now,
like, why does it?
Jeff Gordon had been around the game as an executive for a while.
But he's a president.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, and listen, I think Mike Gillis is an interesting name to bring back from the past for the simple reason of this, that when you heard Pelly talk about data-driven and AI, you're right, by the way, Brian, AI did come up, and talk about, you know, the modern approach to a front office. Mike Gillis, in his day in Vancouver, whether you liked him or not, and he did rub some people the wrong way, Mike Gillis was forward thinking. He was trying to do things and thought about things that, you know, in terms of changing the approach to running a hockey team. And a lot of the words that I heard today from Pelly immediately made me think of the kind of things that Mike Gillis has always talked about over time. So, you know, I do believe that Mike Gillis is a guy, for example, that will get a call from Keith Pelly through this process. Whether it leads to anything, who knows? But yeah, there's another name.
Pierre, I think it's great the guy had great ideas in Vancouver, but what did it ever do? Like, I had a bunch of crazy
they got
great
to a cup
ideas
final,
too,
which
that
the Leafs
nothing
haven't
ever
done
happened
since
out of
1967.
That's true.
Okay.
It is a valid bar to set, but I mean, names are going to pop up like this. You know who might get in it? Maybe John Ferguson Jr. gets a sniff. Maybe we can get Fergie back in for an interview. Names are going to pop up, and it's going to happen a lot over the next couple of weeks. But
I can either confirm or deny that.
I hope, you know, I want this to work, and I want Keith Pelly to and MLSE and the Maple Leafs to get this right. You know, their fans deserve it. Because it's immensely important. Like, they've got to put forth a plan here and the people in place here that are going to get things done, because it's not in a good place right now. And listen, there's like Craig Berube. I'm curious what he's thinking right now, Pierre. Like, what did you take of Pelly's answer on Berube and how the coaching situation is going to be handled?
Well, I thought he gave the right answer, which is that it's up to the new GM or president of hockey. Has to be, otherwise everything is in inverse still. Like, the Leafs have already struggled with these different jobs and contracts not timing up properly with, right? I mean, Treliving's deal had 1 more year left. Berube's deal has 2 more years left. You know, Dubas was up in a year in which Keefe had just been signed. Like, they've always had this issue seemingly of not lining up the coach and the GM to begin with. So it makes sense that the new GM, whoever's in charge of hockey ops, should decide the fate of Craig Berube. It should not be Keith Pelly. It should be the person running hockey. So that I have no problem with that answer. I mean, what other answer would you want?
Well, when that person is eventually hired, right? Like, we kind of know where Keith Pelly stands now. When that person is hired, are we going to know exactly what the direction is of the group? Like, is it safe to assume that it's just going to be a retool at that point? Or is there a chance that someone got into these meetings with Pelly and said, like, listen, I am adamant that this is what needs to be done? Like, how do we, when that day comes, how do we assume where things are going?
Yeah, it's a good question, Frank. Again, let me stress this. You know, by then, will Judd Moldaver and Austin Matthews have given the team direction on their own? They haven't yet, because I think they're sitting back and waiting to see who gets hired and what the plan is. But my point is, and I'm not trying to give Leaf fans PTSD with Mitch Marner, but the player has so much sway here in what happens. And it's the captain of this team that will ultimately decide, I'm willing to stay put or not. And so, you know, it's great that the new GM or the new president of hockey operations will have sold Keith Pelly on a certain plan and perhaps share some of that vision, you know, with the fan base at their news conference. But at the end of the day, they need a buy-in either way from the captain. And right now, you can only guess on that because they haven't got there themselves.
Yeah. I don't know. I look at it with Matthews like he's here now and they're one of the 4 or 5 worst teams in the league. So, to me, he's kind of got to prove something as well to management, doesn't he? Like, isn't there some sort of importance for Matthews to show up and say, guys, I'm telling you, I'm going to get back to being one of the 4 or 5 best players in the world? Like, it can't all be, please, Austin, give us some time to prove to you something. Like, at some point, Austin's got to take some responsibility, too. He's the captain of a team that's been a disaster this year.
Brian, it's pretty simple. Like, yes or no, and we're going to do the Quinn Hughes if it's no.
Yeah. No, exactly. Exactly. And I think that probably has to be the case. But anyway, it's
fun times.
It's going to be, fun times. It's going to be quite the offseason, Pierre. It's almost started already, even though they're still playing. Appreciate you doing this, as always. We'll do it again soon.
Well, by the way, nice to Keith Pelly to pump the tires of the Buffalo Sabres and Montreal Canadiens while he was at it.
Yes.
So,
and,
right.
Radim Murtka, apparently. Big fan of Radim Murtka.
Loves him. Always been a fan. Always been a fan. Thank you, Pierre. There's Pierre LeBrun, our TSN Hockey Insider.
Who is Radim Murtka?
That is a first-round pick of the Buffalo Sabres. He's a big right-handed defenseman, and Keith Pelly brought him up in his press conference. He mentioned Michael Hage and Radim Murtka by name.
Yeah, he was almost a St. Louis Blue. Radim was.
Apparently.
He was almost going the other way. Yeah, that gave me some Jerry Jones vibes, like when he started talking about other prospects, and I'm like, where are we going with this one?
Well, didn't that kind of make it feel like this guy might have been in some discussions that maybe the GM should be handling?
Yeah. Well, and that's where the Jerry Jones comparison comes into play. Like he diffused it immediately, Keith Pelly, and said, I just want to clarify, I'm not a scout, I'm not here, I'm not in the weeds. But then there were other times where he'd reference certain things that would indicate maybe he is. And that was my stance on Berube. I agree that the GM or what have you should get that call, but does the new GM, do they fire him immediately if they choose they want to? Do they keep him? Like, sometimes the new guy wants everything reset before they arrive. And it wouldn't be the first time in sports history where they just said, everyone's gone and we're just restarting. They chose not to do that, which I guess is good news for Craig Berube right now.
I'm sure Chief knows that the way the league works is if a guy comes in, he brings in all of his own people.
Yep. Generally that happens.
We've seen it time and time again.
Now, sometimes it takes a year, right? Like sometimes it with Shanahan it did. He came in and he's like, I'll keep Nonis and the whole crew. Took a year, then everyone was out, right? Even with Tree Living, I'll have Sheldon Keefe for a year. Okay, now you're out. Does that end up happening with Berube? I guess it's possible. Okay, Mike Johnson coming up. Confirm or deny coming up as well. Italy and Bosnia, they're in extra time. Italy's playing with 10 men. They're down a man. Someone red carded. So this has all the makings of a complete choke job.
It's a complete disaster.
It's
what we do. It's what we do in Italian soccer. We choke.
Sure.
It's what we do.
Sure. We'll keep you up to date on what's going on there as well. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4. All right, Mike Johnson coming up. Confirm or deny coming up. And a big development in my house I'll tell you guys about in the next hour. Very, very special day for me for a couple of different reasons. But
I know what it is. You got on that elliptical in your basement.
No, not even close.
That's not newsworthy.
Although my daughter's been using it. And she's like, yeah, I've been using the elliptical. So I'm glad I purchased that elliptical for a ridiculous price 12 years ago, and I've used it like 5 times.
Would you sell it?
How much did that thing cost you? Like $5,000?
No, I was on a payment plan that was absurd. And eventually, dude, I called the guy, said, hey, man, I think I've already paid you like $1,800 for this thing. I'm not paying you anymore. And he goes, I've been waiting for you to call. Yeah, no problem. Because the thing was worth probably $600, $800. It's like a used.
Be honest. How many times did you get on it? How many times you get on it?
I've been on that thing 25 times.
In how many years?
I think that's high, dude.
I think
had
it's
it high
for 11 years, 12 years.
I think 25 is high, man. Be straight up, man.
15,
it's high.
15.
If I came to your house with my buddy in a pickup truck and I took it off your hands, would you just be like, just take it, or would you want cash?
I don't know, because now my kids are starting to use it.
I guess.
So I'll talk. You don't want this thing, man. It's a monstrosity.
Yeah.
It's old school. It's got no AI. Keith Pelly would look at this and say, that can't be my next GM.
Okay, let's take a break.
No AI with that.
I want you guys to do me a favor.
AI clip coming up. We'll play some AI.
AI, and then you guys are going to explain to me how AI factors into a good hockey team.
We will.
Give it to me.
You
guys both have to tell me something.
Role play level of concern, you're playing the role of AI. We'll get to that next.
the moment we've all been waiting for. That's what they came for!
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Hour 2 OverDrive. Jeff O'Neill, Brian Hayes, Frank Corrado. I just got the most insane tweet from a guy. I had to block him. He said, O-Dog is so clueless about how front offices are run. And he had the nerve to say this. He said the Dodgers are so analytically driven. Oh, really? Are they? When you handed Ohtani $700 million, what analytics did you need on Ohtani? He's the best baseball player that's ever walked the face of the earth. You traded for Mookie Betts. He was an MVP, unbelievable talent. How much analytics went into that? Freddie Freeman, you got him. What were the analytics on that? You just got the best closer in the game. Give me the analytics on that. You got one of the best hitters, Tucker, that was available. What are the analytics? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? They get the best players, and therefore your analytics are through the roof and off the charts. Please don't give me that they're so analytically driven with the Dodgers.
You can marry the two, and I think that's what's important.
I know, but Brian, when you're just throwing out the cash to get the best players, don't tell me that's analytically driven.
Well, I hear what you're saying. The Dodgers are a tough example because they literally paid Kyle Tucker $60 million a year just to come there.
Right.
They have drafted and developed their own guys who are really good players, but Ohtani, Freeman, Betts, Tucker, all of their staff were basically from other teams that they have brought in, right? Like Yamamoto, they said, here's $350 million. So come on in. Now,
do you think they were looking at Ohtani's expected home runs and be like, I'm not sure?
Again, I think, Dave Roberts would probably say they look at certain things in terms of their playing philosophy, in terms of, knowing the data on arms and what you need in terms of filling out a staff. It's important to have both. Okay, I know we joke around. You can't overemphasize one or the other, and this is what is likely going to end up happening here. Is they're just going to go from one extreme to the next, because that's what happened here, right? It was data. We better bring in Tree Living and Berube, old school guys.
Trust your gut hockey
guys, and it's like, well, now they're brutal, so we better go the other way, and now we got to get a Chat GPT GM who's going to step in and punch in the numbers and. There has to be a middle ground, and I think that's what the Dodgers have accomplished. I think a lot of teams in hockey have accomplished that, and I think it's important to, especially in a hard salary cap, to take advantage of any possible, edge work you can get over your opponents.
The Florida Panthers have analytics. They took a bunch of these guys that were computer guys years ago. This was years ago. They took them off Twitter, and they hired analytics guys, and they've been behind the scenes for years there. Other guys have come and gone, but that's a team that plays hard, plays scrappy, playoff mentality. They've won cups. There still is data behind that. It's not just, I think this is going to work, so let's do it. By the way, during the break, I asked ChatGPT again, how do you fix the Leafs and turn them into a cup contender? And it said, you have to figure out what you're going to get for Mitch Marner.
Wow.
So maybe AI is probably
concerning.
not the way to go.
Yeah, maybe AI is not quite ready yet.
Might not be ready.
Give me the heat. Give me the AI clip.
Okay, we got the audio clip here. And
then afterwards, you two have the responsibility of informing me. Never heard this before. I've been around the game my whole life. I know AI is just kind of new on the scene. Tell me how a hockey team uses AI to get better after this clip.
And especially AI. AI is massive. It is changing our business. The whole thing with data is everyone now has access to data, and everyone's going to have access to AI.
All right. So everyone's going to have access to AI, which I think is right. I understand no one knows exactly where AI is going. It's this kind of elephant in the room where you listen to all these tech companies and these CEOs who have so much stock involved in this, literally and figuratively. They're telling you the whole world is about to change. I'll believe it when I see it. I don't know exactly what it's going to look like. How this applies to building hockey, I'm guessing what it means is, again, stats and data. It's not literally looking at goals and assists or Corsi and Fenwick and expected this or expected that. It's about using it to your benefit with maybe minor hockey or junior hockey, collegiate hockey, where they don't have this. Not everyone has the same access to all of that data, maybe. And maybe you can find someone in Europe where I don't know how to explain it to you because I don't know enough about it. But maybe you can find some sort of cutting-edge scouting potential.
You got to build it. You got to build models, and you got to test it, and you got to see what works. I think ultimately, like, we think we have the greatest technology. Like, everything around us is the greatest technology. Like, we are. This is the greatest tech. Not me, but, like, we are the greatest technology.
Really? You think people are the greatest technology?
When we put our minds to something and we do the work, we are the greatest technology, and we can use all these tools to make ourselves better.
Yeah, me too.
Hire this guy.
What do you think of that?
We are the greatest technology.
We are the greatest technology because we know how to use all this stuff optimally to get
Guys,
what we need.
I'm just
like
telling
it, man. I like
if
it.
Mike Johnson, me and Johnny kind of have differing views on hockey, and we don't ever bitch at each other about it. But if he says he's all in on AI for hockey teams, I flat out quit. On the spot.
No, you can't do that because I think Johnny's going to say that he probably has a better idea of what this avenue is going to look like, right?
If Johnny says I support AI,
yes, powered by what is it, NVIDIA? Yeah, that's Johnny.
NVIDIA stock.
Yeah. NVIDIA, there it is. Maybe Elon Musk can be the next GM of the league.
Okay, well, bring him in and then ask him how, if he feels that way, to explain how AI works in hockey.
Let's get Mark Zuckerberg in here, running the show, running the Maple Leafs. Here's Mike Johnson joining us here on the Maple Toyota Hotline, powered by AI. Go ahead, Johnny. Explain yourself. Why is AI going to work for the Leafs in the future?
Why do I have to explain myself?
We just assume that you agree with Keith Pelly on that front.
Very hostile environment I'm walking into right here.
Never.
I must tell you. I must tell you. No. I think the way AI could help any organization is in data collection, right? And it's about getting information. What you do with the information, that's where humans have to decide. Oh, that's where you need to look at the numbers and say, okay, I understand these numbers. They suggest we need this. We have to play this way. How do then I take this group of humans and get them to do this to the best of their ability, and to win enough games to try to have a chance to win a Stanley Cup? But AI, I think largely we sort of data gathering, data sorting, data generation, to try to figure out what it is that we aren't doing or we are doing well and what it is that we need to improve on.
Johnny, well, what does AI say about a hockey team that is terrible as we speak? They have no draft picks. They have no prospects. They have a bunch of question marks. And then the president of it all says they can contend next year. What is AI going to spit out to that response?
AI would spit out, that's not entirely untrue, but if you're going to do, the whole thing about data and information and numbers is to give yourself the best chance. Oh, so what he's saying is not technically wrong. There is a chance. They contended last year with largely, a better team, but a pretty similar team. And they contended because a lot of things went right. But what you're trying to do is try to find sustainable, likely success. And I would suggest with this group right now, you're going to have to make some pretty significant changes, plus have a lot of things go your way to have sustainable, likely success. So in that sense, I guess I would disagree with him. But I guess the one thing it did answer for us, was there was basically two paths forward, right? One was, okay, we're miles away, and we have to look at every single thing, and that includes every single player about what makes sense for when we think we can win a Stanley Cup. And that would mean every player. That means Austin's, means Willie, that means goalies, that means everybody. I think the way he phrased that was, that's not on the table. It's more we have those pieces that we need to build around, and they think that that is possible to be a Stanley Cup contender. I'm not sure it is. I think it's certainly possible to be a playoff contender. In fact, it's likely they can make the playoffs next year if they make smart decisions and get some better luck and some better health. But making the playoffs and winning a cup are two very different animals. And I think, you have to be realistic about which one is possible.
When Brad Treliving took the job, that was 2023, Mitch Marner's no movement clause was about to kick in. Now, it's hard for a GM to get there and say, first order of business, I'm moving on from this guy because I'm afraid of this no move. Like, that's you got to have a lot of stones to do that. So that was his first challenge and maybe his biggest challenge. Whoever gets the job, whenever they decide to hire someone for the GM or president, what is their biggest challenge at, day one when they get that job?
Obviously, you got to not the biggest challenge, Frankie, but the first one you got to do is, how do we play and how do we get a coach that can help us play that way as good as we can? And maybe it's Craig Berube, maybe it's not. So that's decision one. Challenge one, Frankie, I think is how do they turn over this roster that has gone from 6 years ago, sort of top 2 or 3 in the league as far as a lot of the numbers that, Keith Kelly was alluding to as likelihood of success, and now find themselves in the bottom 2 or 3 in 6 years. They've gone from one of the best to one of the worst. The biggest challenge is how do we get the bodies back in the lineup and play a style that would give us continued regular season and postseason success. And they'll look at this roster here and say, that's a lot of people. That's a lot of differences for a group of 23 or 25, or what I call it. So how many changes that require and how easy or difficult is it going to be to change that many pieces and do it well?
Well, Pelly said that there are foundational pieces here.
Yes.
How many foundational pieces do you believe the Leafs have?
3 up front, I guess, right? Nylander, Matthews, Nyes. Tavares is a piece that's not going anywhere, but, he's a complementary piece at this point. But the 3 up front, I bet they believe they have 2 goaltenders that in the right situation can be more than good enough to win with. On defense is the huge wild card, Hayes. And this is Frankie, maybe this is the biggest challenge. Frankie, you tell me, how many foundational defensemen do they have?
0.
Ask AI.
Well, AI would tell you, that when Chris Tanev is on the ice, they might have one when he's healthy for another year or 2. Everybody else is not. So maybe they don't have any, Frankie. Maybe that's the answer, and that's the extreme difficulty in what they're about to undertake, how to create a team that's really good with the defensemen that are NHL players, but no, as Kelly called them, foundational pieces.
I think it boils down to like 4 big things, and maybe you can tell me if they're big or small. But if I laid them out for you, like weird roster construction, like we can all agree it's not a great roster the way it is. You have a couple anchor contracts that you're going to have a hard time moving. You have no picks. You have no prospects. Like, how do you look at that and say, well, we can do this thing? Like, what are you grasping at that makes you believe that you can do this? I don't know.
Well, again, the question is, what are you trying to do? Can you
exactly.
What are you doing?
It.
But that's the point. Like making the playoffs. If put it this way, if I went into the 2 p.m. presser before Keith Pelly went up there and I said, man, I really hope they can make the playoffs next year, I would leave the presser saying, okay, I thought I heard some decent things.
They can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, I think he's going to really expedite that plan, and he's going to put some piece. He's going to want to hear from someone who comes in and will tell them, I'm going to get a new coach, I'm going to make 3 or 4 trades, I'm going to make 3 or 4 signings, and we can make the playoffs. Okay, if that was my objective going into the 2 p.m. presser. But unfortunately for that fantasy, that wasn't my plan going into it, and it wasn't my objective, and I think I can speak for every Leaf fan. My objective going into it was, man, I hope I leave here inspired that Keith Pelly can help them win a Stanley Cup. And I didn't leave inspired that he can do that, based on the messaging. Where do you stand on that, Johnny?
Yeah, I absolutely. We've talked about this, right? There's 2 different realities: making the playoffs, winning the playoffs, and one is way harder and a more tough needle to thread than the other. Now, I'm not sure what Keith Pelly could have said.
Valid.
That would have satiated your desire to win the Stanley Cup. Like, you come out of that, I'm not sure what you could say. That
very
would inspire
valid.
You.
Press conferences are press conferences.
Yeah.
Very valid.
Like, that's our guy, sign him up, we're on our way. Like, it's hard to pull off, given where they are right now. But I think it is, and they will say, well, of course we're here to win the cup. But how they proceed will tell you what they're trying to do. And maybe it is make the playoffs and hope that the randomness and the variability of hockey, injuries, goaltending, even, how close one through 8 is, gives them a chance to win a cup as long as they make the playoffs. And that is not, again, theoretically wrong. It's just not likely. It's not likely. And you can look over the last few years about the things that the good teams do and what they do well and what they don't. And the Leafs are a long way from doing a lot of stuff that the best teams that win in the Stanley Cup playoffs do well. Yeah. So that's the challenge. That is the challenge. Now, guys, we would be naive to suggest that as much as Keith Belly is the face of this situation, he's not the owner of the Toronto Maple Leafs. He has a boss. I don't know what Edward Rogers feels about renewing ticket sales, suite sales, playoff revenue, TV revenue. Like, these are business realities that everybody in Keith Belly's position has to be aware of. We operate in a vacuum, like money doesn't matter, because it doesn't to us. But it does to the guys who own the team. And so maybe going up there and saying, we're going to strip this down and who knows where we're going to head with this, and it's going to be 7 years of stuff that might not be great, that might not be good for business. And that is something that you have to consider, even though it's not something that we usually factor in.
Absolutely, and it will be factored in because that is literally Pelly's job, is to make money. Now, the argument is if they win, they'll make more money. Talk to the team down the street, right?
Well, that's the whole thing, right? Does the Jays' experience empower MLSE to say, listen, even if it's bad for a few years, what we have learned from the Jays is when they get all the way there, you recoup all that money that you may have lost, all the franchise value, everything that you sort of invested in potential lack of revenue in the next 3, 4, 5 years will be made up and then some. Plus, part of the reality of owning a team, it's fun to make money and be the most valuable franchise in the NHL. Maybe the Jays experience says, what's more fun? More fun than any of it is to have a chance to win and to be right there. Now, the Jays didn't do it, but I think that was a pretty magical experience for the ownership, for the city, for the team, for the franchise value of that team. And so maybe that helps sway them into maybe a more difficult decision.
I don't know how you guys feel, but like in a different market, let's just use a smaller market in the States. Let's say Nashville, right? Like if they were going to go into a full rebuild, they would probably have to sell it to corporations in that city that like, hey, this is going to be good for us in the long run. Stick around. Don't get rid of your suites. I have a hard time believing that. Name your big company that's based out of here. All the banks, the insurance companies, the construction companies, they're going to go away. Like, they're going to get rid of their suites. They're not going to renew their season tickets because the Leafs are going to rebuild for a bit. I don't think they have to worry about that the way, 50% of the NHL's markets have to.
Well, their history would suggest they don't. Now, that has led to maybe some arrogance and some poor decision-making because they have been able to fall back on those certainties. But I think you're right. And, again, another example that you can use from the Jays, if you're the Leafs right here, is, fans are fickle. Your reputation will change. This time last year, Mark Shapiro and Ross Atkins were not exactly popular guys. Now they're getting standing O's walking down the street. And I should say the same thing applies with Pelly. And I think you bring up a good point. I didn't love the tone of the press conference. It didn't feel overly inspiring or creative from my standpoint, but it's irrelevant if he makes 2 great hires or a great hire and they launch this into a better position. That's what's pivotal, is the actions ultimately in the end. And I think Pelly understands that. With that in mind, speaking of action, we haven't even talked about the game last night. That actually turned into a very entertaining hockey game because there were fights and lead changes and overtime. Domi fighting Gudas, and Gudas effectively saying, you can speed bag and I'm just going to hold on and seatbelt and then we'll go to the ice. Like, that's kind of what it looked like. I don't recall seeing that before. I don't know if any of you guys have seen that. It was like Gudas knew it was coming. That's why he was in the lineup. He didn't really throw any punches. Credit Domi. I mean, Domi went him, and he didn't really get any bombs in. But then McCabe went after Gudas later, and it was just kind of a weird scene. Like, Gudas was just kind of holding on and understood what was coming. And I'm curious, Johnny, if you think like that's enough. Or does Gudas, every time he plays the Leafs, as long as Matthews is on the team, he's got to gear up and expect someone to challenge him?
I think he's playing on one foot, Hayes. So I wonder if he's like, I'm not going to risk getting hurt more. I'm going to hang on best I can, take my lumps. And the only conversation was, should he have been expecting? Should he have let Pezzetta fight him or agree to a McCabe fight? Like, was one enough? I guess is the only conversation as far as Gudas' line of thinking. Clearly for him, it was. What I would expect for Radko Gudas going forward is, every time he plays the Leafs, that's going to be a tough night for him. And it won't be off the opening faceoff. But if there's a scrum and there's pushing and shoving, everyone should try to find him and push and shove him and drop the gloves with him. And, that is not maybe entirely over, but I don't think he would have to expect what happened last night to happen every single time. And, kudos to Max. And I believe if Max had been on the ice when the original incident happened, he would have fought Radko Gudas. I don't think he would have been someone who sort of cruised in there and said, I'm not sure what's going on here. He would have reacted differently. And I would imagine that when he saw the starting lineup, Joshua and Pezzetta taking the opening faceoff and Benoit and Carlo, he flat out said in the room, I get him. It's my responsibility. It's my whatever opportunity, and I'm taking them. Like, I know, Pezzetta, you fight more than me, whatever. That's your job, I guess, more than Domi's. But out of seniority, out of relationship with Austin, out of tenure on the Maple Leafs, he said, I get it, and he took it, and he did a good job with it. And, it's another one with damned if they do. They did what they had to do. Critics will say, well, performative, too late, reactionary, not who they are. Well, all they can do is do that over and over and over every time it comes up until it becomes who you are, until it becomes instinctive. So the next time in the moment, it wouldn't happen the same way. So, sort of predictable. I stayed up and watched the opening faceoff. It went exactly how we thought it would. And then the game ensued, and they tried to make it miserable for Gudas best they could. And that was appropriately predictable to how the game would play out.
One of the things that maybe got lost in the press conference today is the fact that Brandon Pridham and Ryan Hardy are going to be calling the shots for the next little while. Like, we don't know how much say they'll actually get on things, but they're the guys in charge. Like, is Brandon Pridham one of those names that you could see taking over the reins and maybe, like, being a GM if he's surrounded by the right people, given the fact that, he would have a very good feel of everything that's gone on in the organization? It's not someone externally who has to learn about it. Like, he would know the ins and outs of it, what they have, what they don't have. Is that something that you would entertain?
I would. He's certainly in my front office, and he's smart enough to do it. He's obviously a salary cap specialist, maybe not a data analyst specialist, but he's certainly bright enough to do it. I don't think I would hire Brandon Pridham without a president above him that would have maybe more traditional hockey experience. Like, it feels like there should be a 1-2 punch where maybe, not quite the eye test guy, but a guy who's got more hockey experience, hockey player, X whatever, been around in that capacity. And then if you want to have a more data-driven guy, the GM, whatever, a 1-2 Frankie, he belongs in this front office. You're sort of comfortable with him. He's a smart guy. But I don't know, again, I don't know if I'd have him lead the entire operation as much as I like Brandon. But he'll get a promotion. He will get a raise. He will be part of the future on my team.
Okay. All right, Johnny. Good stuff, man. Pump something into that Chat GPT for us, because we want the heat later in the week when we get back into the games and all that good stuff.
Okay. Listen, Chat GPT, couple prompts. What makes a winning team in the Stanley Cup playoffs, and how are the Maple Leafs different than that? See what comes up. Be a good exercise for you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Johnny, for that information.
No problem. I almost wanted. I wish we had an ISO cam when Peldy went down. Everything we're doing is data driven, and I'm like, where I want to see his face as he's saying this.
Well, Johnny, why wouldn't you? The TFC use it, so great, really good stuff.
What do you think?
But let me ask you guys this. There's a guy 2 hours down the street. His name's Mark Hunter. How much do you think time he spends on ChatGPT and AI, building winners, winning championships?
Well, when you get the best players, because you pay for the best players for a long time, it makes it a bit easier. That'd be like playing the Leafs in a non-salary cap era. Right? It'd be a little bit easier. I'll just say this. I'm down in Florida right now. Florida is sort of perceived as the most old-school hockey team in the way they play and the way they approach it. If you know about their front office, they are an absolute hugely influenced by their analytics group. Like the teams that have won, I'm in Tampa right now, hugely influenced by their analytics group. So we can poke fun. The teams that have won have leaders or strong management teams that use data analytics, information, whatever you want to call it, and they have been successful as of late. That's the reality. That's the truth.
Oh, okay. What does that have to do with Matthew Tkachuk and Sam Bennett and Barkov and Bobrovsky? What does that have to do with analytics and data?
Well, the way that they play,
Oh, okay.
And the way, and like, if you don't think that Matthew Tkachuk with his evasiveness, if you look at his also other underlying numbers, the way he plays the game, the offensive impacts he have on him and his team, like, yeah, he's more than just annoyance out there. He's more than just gutsy. He's also, you need both. That's the whole point. You can't just have, and I think this is part of the problem with the Leafs and what they've done. They've gone down the road of we need the vibe check. We need the gritty guy. Well, yes, you do, but you need the gritty guy who can play. Now, that's not news to anyone, but you can't get by with just character alone. You got to be able to play with character, and you got to be able to find players that can do that, and that will be the challenge of the new guys.
Yep. And unfortunately, these core players, you can't make that argument that that's how they operate. Yeah. Like that's
no, not yet. No,
yeah,
that's right.
10 years in, you can't.
No.
But anyway, all right, Johnny, we'll do it again later in the week.
All right, fellas, have a good day.
There's Mike Johnson joining us on the Maple Toyota Hotline. Red Tag Days are here. Check out the Toyota Tacoma and Toyota Tundra pickup trucks, both available as hybrids. Visit Maple Toyota right near Canada's Wonderland in the Maple Auto Mall. So yeah, we got Jays in action tonight. The Cody Ponce news again. It's not great. It's a sprained ACL as of now,
AKA torn.
Well,
minor tear.
Again, they're still looking into the MRI. Now, I don't know how that works. Like on, who reviewed the MRI the first time? And then was it an intern, and now the surgeon's going to get around to it at some point?
If you're getting a second opinion on an MRI, that is never good.
Yeah, it's
complex and it's messy, and it sucks for the guy, man.
It really does.
And listen, it's baseball, so obviously it's non-contact. 90% of it's going to be non-contact, but that's just as soon as you see him reach down and make that face, you're like, that's not something that's short term.
No, he knew it was trouble, and you get carted off. It's big trouble, man. It sucks because he had waited a long time to get back to the majors, and there was
such a weird play, like a dribbler, and then all of a sudden the guy's grabbing his knee. I was like, what the hell did I just watch?
Well, and he had slipped off the mound earlier in that at bat, right, or early in the inning, I believe it was. And some again we're playing amateur doctor here, but did he trigger something at that point, and then it just got worse once he ran after the ball? I don't know, but not good. We got Max Scherzer on the mound tonight, though. Got to feel good about the Jays getting off the snide. Colorado, you had your fun last night. You put 14 runs on the board. That's enough. Find a way to get back in the win column tonight. So we'll get to best bets later in the hour. Confirm or deny coming up. Overdrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 4.
OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, so there's a lot going on right now. Italy and Bosnia in penalty kicks.
Dude, this is outrageous.
And it's 2-1 now. They're moving on to the third leg of the penalties. 2-1 Bosnia. So the Italians are in big trouble of choking here. But so we're playing Van Halen right now, Dance the Night Away, which I love. I'm a big Van Halen guy.
I love Van Halen.
I love Van Halen now.
Same.
Frankie, you've talked about this.
We did a whole Van Halen.
Is this
all
some kind
summer.
of spoof or something? That...
No. So, like, in my house, we all have girls, right? And Frankie, yours are younger, so they're not, into music yet. Oh, you would know where this is going. We have been playing Taylor Swift on a loop for the better part of 3 or 4 years. Now, in recent weeks, maybe months, Olivia Dean has completely taken over.
Oh, yeah. Man, I need.
Yes.
Yeah.
All it is Olivia Dean in our house, right? Every single day. Play Olivia Dean, which is great. She's very, very talented. Great artist. Over the weekend, I said, I'm playing Van Halen. Like, I'm playing this, and my oldest was like, I love this song. Wow. Starts requesting Dance the Night Away, Jump, Unchained. She's like, play these songs. We're going to school. I'm dropping them off. It's a 2-minute ride. She requested Van Halen this morning.
Amazing.
And I'm like, this is a huge moment. Yeah, huge.
That's great parenting by you.
Thank you. I think so, too.
Excellent parenting.
I'm basically pumping my own tires.
As you should.
But it does kind of scare me a little bit. Like, I was born in 83. Van Halen launched in 78. Like, they were a new, modern, oh, my God, Italy just missed another kick.
Oh, my God.
Bosnia's hit 3 straight, and Italy has missed 2 of their first 3. Bosnia can snipe here and win.
So this is over.
My God. It could be Canada versus Bosnia opening night down at BMO Field. I could not be happier about this.
Go, Bosnia, go.
Please. Because then we don't have to have the stupid discussion. Who are we rooting for?
Because you don't.
Who's going?
No. Let's be honest.
Italians
flat
in the
out
city.
brawls.
I get it.
Flat out brawls.
Exactly.
Dude.
I get it. But Jesse Marsh made a comment yesterday, kind of presuming that Italy was going to win this. Again, it's not over yet, but let's see.
It's
we could
over.
be within
this
seconds.
Is it. This is over.
Snipe. Yes, he made it.
No.
Boom. We got Bosnia, Canada opening night down at BMO Field. The Italians have choked again. This is incredible.
Bang!
This is amazing that Bosnia has won this. So Italy had a 1-0 lead. They got a red card. Bosnia scored late in the second half. But let me explain.
You're seriously not excited about that, are you? Like, it's devastating.
No, I am excited. Here's why I'm excited. I understand Italy is an incredible superpower in the football world. I have dozens and dozens of incredibly close friends that are Italian, you being one of them, Frankie.
Thanks, buddy.
Carlo Koliakova, our boy JP behind. Joe from the Bridge has the tightest shirt on anyone's ever seen in their life.
And he's
right
sweating
now.
Through it. Big time.
He is crying, I'll bet you right now. He is in the back crying. And I understand it. I get it. That's your team. That's your heritage. But it's Canada playing on opening night. And I didn't want to see the friction between Canadians.
What are you talking about? Who didn't want to see that spectacle?
I didn't. I'm saying I want 100% support for Canada is what I'm saying.
It would have been a spectacle, the likes of which this city has never seen before.
It's still going to be.
Jesse March was like, burn the blue jerseys yesterday.
And he took a lot of heat from people. And
I'm sure he did for that.
Well, what he was trying to do was say he's worried that it was going to be more Italian fans than Canadian fans. Give me an example of when that's ever happened in the history of the World Cup. For a host country to possibly play a home game, which would be the likes of something we've never seen before, regardless of who they play, where you're concerned it might be 60-40 the opponent, and the opponent is across the ocean.
It would be more than 60-40.
It probably would have been predominantly Canadians that would have been down there.
It would actually be such an eye-opening experience for sports fans here in this city to see what that looked like. But who cares? It doesn't matter.
I can't believe that they've lost.
The Italians lost. They choke.
Wow.
And they always do this. And we shouldn't be rooting for them anyways because they stink.
Yeah. Oh, man, I'm going to take a lot of heat for this take, but I'm so happy.
Dude, you are.
No, you're not going to take heat.
I'm so happy.
There's a guy,
I'm not playing the games.
Joe from the Bridge is going to go the Ultimate Warrior running down the hallway into the ring and give you the Stone Cold Stunner.
Yeah.
Dude, I told you like 2 hours ago that I couldn't care less about this game. That was such a lie. That was
You've been
such a
just
lie. Yeah,
white knuckling.
I've been trying to look over and not make it look like I have been, but this is terrible.
Joe from the Bridge is not happy with me right now.
No.
He's like, we would have had both teams. We would have supported both teams. I don't believe that. I think, again, you would have picked your poison, and you're free to do that. That's the beauty of it. But now it's not. That's what I'm rooting for is that, again, there'll be Bosnian fans in the crowd. I'm sure there will be a lot of them that travel over here. There's a large Bosnian community in the greater Toronto area. But now I think we're talking 90% Canadian fans.
But he has an
95%. Let's get down to BMO and get fired up here.
I want to be consistent with things. Like I said, if Italy plays Canada, I will cheer for Canada. And I would have stood by that. But it's a source of pride as a guy who's like Italian that we should be in the World Cup every single time. Like it should never even come down to this. One kick away. That's ridiculous.
That is an outrageous
And you can't call Italy a superpower soccer nation anymore. It's not.
I wouldn't think so. Did they miss the last 3 World Cups?
They missed the last 3. Well, now people are going to say I hate penalties, and it shouldn't come down to penalties. Joe from the Bridge is already he's literally complaining in the group chat.
No, I can't do it. I can't do it with the excuses.
Joe from the Bridge is going to make them
happened.
in the tightest shirt anyone's ever seen. Can we get Joe from the Bridge in here? I know we got to play. We got to get to confirm
Let's
here.
Bring him. Yeah, Joe,
let's do a couple of confirms, and then we'll bring in Joe from the Bridge at the end with his shirt on.
Does he have a tight shirt on with the little mini boiler hanging out?
Tightest you've ever seen, man.
It's a phenomenal look, Joe from the Bridge.
Couple confirms and bring him in.
Okay, let me get to a couple here on the fly, okay? Confirm or deny. This is one that I think will be right up both of your alleys. Brendan Shanahan is back running a team in the NHL within the next 18 months.
Oh, that's a confirm.
You think he gets one of these jobs that'll be available at some point?
That's a confirm because he's a highly qualified NHL executive, and I think the league itself will look at a guy like Shanahan and say, there might be a spot for you here, and we think it's a good fit. Like, I think the NHL executives, once you're in that circle, kind of looks out. It's an ecosystem that looks out for you. I could see him being back in the next 18 months. I'd actually be surprised if he wasn't back in the next 18 months.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll confirm that. I think, well, who knows after what happens this season, there could be a plethora of openings.
Ooh,
like if some teams collapse, teams collapse here coming down the stretch, there could be a lot of things available that nobody thought possible.
Yeah, listen, he's a lifer, like immensely respected in the game. I'll confirm it as well because it does sound as if he wants it. He could easily just not be, pursuing a job, but it does sound like he wants to get back in. Maybe he was kicking tires with the Islanders. Maybe Nashville looks at him. Now, I will say the Leafs in the position they're in right now, he's got to own a lot of this. Like, if you're interviewing Brendan Shanahan, you got to ask him why it was so promising for so long and now it's in the position it's in. Because he allowed it to rot, like to the point where they have no picks, no prospects. They're not a very good team. Like he was the one driving the bus. But at the same time, he did a great job when he got here. Like the first 3 or 4 years, he basically hit every note you're supposed to hit. And, he's a Hall of Famer. He's an easy guy to sell to a fan base. So I'll confirm that. You guys see Mitch Marner throw a big middle ice hit last night?
I missed that, actually.
Trolley tracks throwing a huge hit last night.
I love that for him.
Confirm or deny, John Tortorella coaches in Vegas for this season and at least 2 more after it.
This season?
Tortorella sticking around in Vegas.
It seems like a long time. I'll deny it just based on the fact that Bruce Cassidy was there for 3 years. Like not even 3 years because he didn't even finish this year. Is that right? The math on that?
Yeah, well, they won in 23. So.
Okay, and that was his first year.
I believe so, yeah.
So he was 3.5 years, essentially. My math is probably wrong. Anyways, I'm going to deny it because 2 things. Vegas, they have a short fuse when it comes to players, coaches. Like, they're pretty cutthroat. Mm-hmm. I think Torts is a short stint guy.
Yeah.
Goes
I
somewhere
don't see him
and then that's
back.
it.
I'm denying
initial
it.
burst.
You don't think he's even there next year? Like this?
I don't know. I think it's like a temporary thing. I don't know if Vegas does any damage this year in the playoffs. They could be one team that magically flipped the switch and become an absolute animal come playoff time. I just believe they have that capabilities, and Aiden Hill could just become a good goaltender, not even great, and guys start turning it around. They have the makings to be really dangerous. If that doesn't happen, I just don't see Torts being anything more than a substitute for this year.
See, I called him a supply teacher, which is what I always called it as a kid. And,
it was somewhat of an ignorant comment.
But no, that was I stand by that. The comment section from Canadians coast to coast are like, what does supply mean? We call it a substitute, or we call it this, that, or the other.
Always supply teacher.
I always called it supply. Teacher. Is it a Toronto thing, a greater Toronto area thing? Because like the comments on YouTube and stuff, people are like, I'm Canadian. I've never heard that before. Like, you're offended by that? It's
a supply teacher.
Yeah, come on, supply teacher. Get with it.
Dude, as the years went on, a supply teacher wheeled in, I wheeled out.
That's the least surprising thing I've ever heard.
Exactly right.
Yeah. Can I use the bathroom? Check, please.
You do the Abe Simpson sometime. The walk in, see them, and immediate turn and out. It wasn't even a request for bathroom.
Or if you caught wind that, like, hey, so-and-so's away, there's a supply teacher in that class today, you didn't even wheel into that class.
We're good.
Dude, you'd ask some kind of janitor or something when the teacher's coming back from sick leave, and that's the only time you need to return. That supply teacher doesn't even need to know you're alive.
Yet your name was on the sheet, the attendance sheet, so they did know you were alive. All of us, because believe me, I was no better. But you'd always think, like, oh, this no one's even going to know. It's like they know. They're not going to follow through, I guess.
They also just,
maybe they just don't care.
If you want an education, that's on you.
You don't want to show up? Go ahead. We're not going to fight you.
We bring in Joe from the Bridge in?
Yeah, okay, let's break and we'll come back with Joe from the Bridge. I have a feeling he might be in tears. He might Dan Rappaport this one. He might be in tears.
He's got furnace face for sure.
Yeah. And the best part is now, Joe from the Bridge, because Italy's out, he's going to come in here and say, no, I was Canada all the way. Like I always, 100%. No, Joe from the Bridge. It's okay. It's okay to be honest. If it was Italy, Canada, you were going to probably root for Italy. A lot of people are going to do that.
I got a haircut today. My buddy Ant, he cuts my hair. I asked,
dying for Italy.
I go,
Italy, Canada.
Like Italy, Canada. Who are you cheering for? He almost like laughed at me.
Yeah, it's like that's insulting.
Yeah, how dare you?
Insulting that you would suggest that. Now, like, can we just all get on board with Canada now winning the World Cup?
I'll ask Ant. I'll see what he says.
Okay, let's see if we can get Joe from the Bridge. Will probably say, I won't even. I'm going to be studying Leafs draft picks and stuff like that. All right, Joe from the Bridge coming up. Best Bets coming up. OverDrive continues. TSN 4 and up on YouTube Live.
What a spectacular finish.
Canada, Tunisia on TSN.
Now, back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, Best Bets powered by FanDuel. Make your picks and assemble a same-game parlay in seconds on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. I don't have a line on it yet, but I'm on Canada against Bosnia. I love Canada opening night of the World Cup.
By a billion.
By a billion. Canada beating up on Bosnia.
Someone just tweeted in saying Hayes' comments about Bosnia is his soccer version of "We want Florida."
Yes, you're right. I got to be careful. It's not even about.
We want Florida.
It's very valid. It's very, but it's more. I wanted everyone on the same page. We're rooting for Canada here. Best Bets powered by FanDuel. I should say I'm on the Jays big tonight. I'm going back to the well on the run line. Same game parlays available for every MLB game on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. Please play responsibly. 18 plus. Physically located in Ontario. Let's bring in our Italian correspondent, Joe from the Bridge. There he is.
Oh my God!
Get Joe from the Bridge. Look at that shirt. How beautiful is that thing?
This thing is the Kappa one from, I can't even remember what year it's from, World Cup, but
Nobody
it's an old
cares.
one.
That's
Love
like
it.
2002 or something.
I think that's the
Can we
02
get
one,
like
yeah.
a close-up and ISO of Joe from the Bridge, please? Like, just do a single shot of that
Yeah,
jersey.
Joe,
I
look
think
at
Joe
that
does
thing.
the camera. That's
the problem. Joe is supposed to.
Well, I don't really operate the camera. The
So
pad
AI.
in there.
AI does it?
does. No, my pad in there. My partner in crime.
Okay.
Buddy, where'd it go wrong for Italy? Where'd it go wrong?
We're Italian. Don't you know that by now?
We just choke? Is that what we do?
Yeah. Did you not see the 2 misses that we made in the penalty kicks?
Yeah, I saw that.
What did that remind you of?
Yeah, I know.
What, are you talking 94?
94 Baggio.
That's when you bought that shirt. I think. Is it
No,
94?
I actually have one of those jerseys at home.
You wear that?
98. 98.
Was it 98 when they lost?
No, 98.
94 is when they lost Baggio.
Baggio, yeah. 98 is the jersey I have at home, but it's with the collar. It's the.
I'm a little surprised you don't have a 4-star jersey.
I do. I wore that last game.
Oh,
So why did you wear it again? What are you doing?
I wanted the Kappa version today. I thought it would be.
You got cocky because you thought this is going to be a layup for us.
Well, when you played 10 men, it's tough.
Yeah, it's the ref's fault. I know.
But no, let's go. Okay, I want to go back to what you were talking about with Canada and Italy.
Yeah, so let me guess now, Joe from the Bridge. You're a super fan for Canada now to win. You can't wait. Now you're jumping on Canada's bandwagon.
We had this discussion when Italy failed to failed to qualify for the World Cup 4 years ago, whatever.
Right. Go ahead. Breathe. Let it breathe. You're all good.
You know what? It's not like I'm cheering against Canada.
Oh, okay. You're just going to...
That's what I said back then.
You're going to root for the team they were playing against, but that doesn't mean you're rooting...
What are the chances that they would face each other?
Right. Well...
But now it would have happened.
Yes.
And it would have been a spectacle. And it's not wanting that matchup is... I don't even know what the NHL equivalent would be in a series.
There's no NHL equivalent.
You would want to just...
It doesn't exist on the NHL Richter scale. How the magnitude of what that matchup would have been.
It'd be ridiculous.
Yeah.
It would be ridiculous.
Yeah, and it would have been.
And it would have been a group stage, game one.
Yes.
With the expanded format.
Both could still get through. That's what
give me a tie all day, every day.
Well, and let me clarify. If Italy was going to be playing the U.S. or something, I'd be rooting for that because it would have been incredible. Ultimately, I would like to see Canada find a way to win that opening match. I want to see BMO Field packed with Canadian supporters. Right?
Well, now you got Bosnia.
Now, hopefully, we're going to see
Bosnia,
that. And maybe that was going to be the case anyway.
Switzerland and Qatar.
Maybe that was going to be the case anyway. Go from the Bridge. But, put this into perspective. How does this compare to Game 7 against the Panthers? Would you put this on the same Richter scale? It can't
Sebastian Maniscalco, aren't you embarrassed?
I'm so invested with the Leafs, though. It's not. Right now, I want to leave Cup.
Right. And you're an Italian.
I've seen Italy win, obviously.
See, that's the thing. They have won. You use, Italy gets compared to the Leafs. It's like they've won World Cups.
Yeah, but it's just
2006. And that's another thing that I think.
But it's very just, it's leafy. We had this discussion on Thursday. It's very leafy. Just everything that they do. Very leafy.
But you remember the city in 2006? Woodbridge, Toronto, everywhere. Remember that?
Well, even the Euro.
No, I know, but
21,
that would have been
prime COVID.
That would have been this, except the World Cup is actually here, man. Like, that would have been another level, and that's just for games.
But why won't that still happen? Those were all Canadians living in Toronto.
People are going to flood the college in St. Clair.
Why wouldn't it
just
for
to
Canada?
Parade for Canada games? Because it's not ingrained in our culture. It's not. It's not
we grew up with the Italian national.
So why don't you give it a shot though? Like, Italy's out. Are you guys Canadian? Like, Canada's playing. Like, you don't want to go support
Canada?
Canada?
For Canada, like, hey, go.
Okay.
Like, do a great job. Enjoy. I don't know.
Okay.
It's different.
It's different.
It's different.
And I tried to explain to them 4 years ago how it is.
Listen, I don't really get it. I appreciate it. I understand it. I you know, there's it's your heritage and all that kind of stuff. But Canada's playing Bosnia and Herzegovina. June 12th down at BMO.
We're going to be there cheering for Canada.
I need a Canada jersey now.
We need Canada kits.
That's what I need. We need a Canada kit.
We need Canada kits. Can we get Canada kits?
What's the name of that company?
This is Kappa.
Kappa. Does Kappa make those, or are they exclusively Italian?
No, I think Kappa's out of the
Kappa's
game
out of the game now. This is back.
Oh, Kappa doesn't exist anymore?
Well, no, it still exists. But not the jerseys.
Exactly.
I think they're Puma or something now.
They're Adidas.
Adidas now?
Adidas.
Oh, okay.
I thought this segment was going to be better than it turned out.
We're talking about kids.
I don't know what to tell you, man. We wanted Joe from the Bridge in here to show off his shirt because it's a beautiful shirt.
And he's got the chain on too.
Yeah, it's so good. Listen, I love you, Joe from the Bridge. We all do, Frankie. I get it. It's heartbreaking. It would have been an incredible spectacle. There's no denying it. But just jump on the Canadian bandwagon. Are you familiar with them, Canada? Have you heard of that country?
I'm on the bandwagon. Okay. I can be on two, though. I can be on two.
Really?
Hey.
Okay, so you're going to jump on the Habs bandwagon?
No. That's different. That's completely
different. All right, Joe from the Bridge. Great seeing you.
Thank you.
My condolences.
Yeah.
Italy's out of the World Cup.
Deepest apologies.
Tomorrow, I'm going to launch a new bit. We're launching a new bit. O-Dog versus AI.
Nice.
Oh, I'm going to put you to the test. You versus AI tomorrow.
Dude, you know what?
We're doing it.
I will win hands down.
Okay.
Because I'm a real person.
Yes, you are. O's a real person. And as a result, he's taking on AI tomorrow, and he's going to find a way to get a win. All right. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate it, including Joe from the Bridge, as always. Best in the business. Frankie, good seeing you.
You too.
Thanks for doing this. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at
4 p.m.
We'll chat then.
Yeah.